Happy Saturday morning, everybody! Welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. Boy, I love this Saturday show. We give it to you fresh. We even throw a few predictions every now and then. I can predict one thing. This not only is it going to be a fast-paced show, but we have a lot of meat on the bone today. And with that said, as you can tell, how far will Miami advance in the CFP? We'll find out in a matter of hours. With that said, let me introduce our crew. Candy, Mrs. Statistic. She comes up with all the research.
Thanks. It's great to be here, guys.
And Mel, UCLA Bruin Farr Jr.
Hey, great to be alive. That's what Ducky used to always say.
Beautiful thing. And Ducky Marvin, Drake. The Trojan, Powell.
That's it. Everybody's favorite Trojan right here. Happy to be here with you guys, even here with Mel.
I'll tell you, you guys are a blast. Every time you go on a show, you're your own version of Laurel and Hardy in a sense where you're comical. I don't even know if that means anything. It's just a good comedy act. And you guys are definitely a comedy act, and that's all I want you to interpret what I just said. Fair enough.
Makes for good theater.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Mel. Appreciate it. All right. Well, with that said, let's get to it. Busy agenda this morning. Todd McShay does not believe Shedeur Sanders is the answer, at quarterback whatsoever for the Browns. He says, I'm not buying for a millisecond that Shedeur Sanders is a long-term answer at quarterback. Well, I'll tell you one thing. If you want to base everything on his first NFL game, 4-16, 47 yards, no touchdowns, 2 sacks, a 13.5 rating, that's one thing. If you also look at what happened with the Bears, got to back up McShay again. 18 of 35, 177 yards, 3 touchdowns, 30.3 passer rating. Candy, I'm telling you one thing. Shedeur hasn't impressed this guy, and those numbers aren't helping matters any.
Yeah, but the first year quarterbacks, and he wasn't even, if you think about it, he didn't play in the beginning. They haven't given him enough time. College game is very different than the NFL game.
Right.
The guys have talked about it before. The pace of the game is different. The players are different. And needs more time. Caleb Williams, look at him. How many years has he been in the league? And now all of a sudden we're starting to see more results from him. And coaches matter for him especially. So I wouldn't ride him off just yet, but maybe he's not in the right fit in the right organization.
Well, maybe not. Todd's entitled to his opinion. He's a draft analyst, so he's certainly going to put it out there. And obviously, Kevin Stefanski is using him now because he has no choice. I'm sure he's getting some pressure upstairs anyway. But, Mel, what do you think about Shedeur Sanders early on? What happened to the Bears certainly didn't help his case at all. Then again, they embarrassed everybody.
My, oh my, what a difference a year makes. I mean, if you go back and listen to what Todd McShay and the rest of the people were saying about him last year, and I take this back because I don't know about McShay because he's been away from ESPN for a while. He lost his job at ESPN and now he's doing his own thing. So I don't know exactly what McShay was saying about Shedeur. But all the other pundits thought Shedeur was a first-round draft pick going into the draft last year. The NFL doesn't want to develop talent. And you have to develop that position. And the good thing that you see happening right now is a lot of these college kids are going back and staying in college. Number one, because they're getting paid, they're getting money to stay in college.
Right.
But number two, it's going to help their development. They need to get more snaps, and that's the one thing I've always talked about is getting snaps. Now, Shedeur has a lot of snaps because he's a 4-year starter. He played with 2 years down there at Jackson State, and then he played 2 years at Colorado, so he does have a lot of snaps. But he needs to be developed, and he has not been developed in Cleveland. And everybody's been talking about, Stefanski and what a great coach he is, and he shouldn't lose his job. And the Cleveland Browns, his record is his record. Now I can't remember what he did his first couple of years. I think he may have got a coaching award or something like that the first couple of years that he was there. But the last few years have been disastrous there.
Right.
You have to develop that position. You have to take it, and it takes some time. He didn't get the reps in training camp. He didn't get the reps in mini camp. He didn't get the reps in training camp. He wasn't getting the reps during the season. Then all of a sudden, because of injury, he's thrust into this position now. And now we want to say that, he's not the answer. We don't know if he's the answer or not, but they need to develop him. They need to give him time. It takes time. Tom Brady didn't become Tom Brady overnight. They developed Tom Brady. They put a good run game around Tom Brady. They put a good defense around Tom Brady, gave him an opportunity to learn the game, and then Tom Brady became who he was. They got to get some pieces around Shedeur, and by committing to him, I mean, they have Deshaun Watson that's going to come back next year. By committing to him or to somebody, it'll give them the opportunity to put pieces around whoever's going to be in that position and see, what that team could look like. You got Myles Garrett on the other side. I mean, he's having a phenomenal year. He's probably going to break the sack record. And they're a lousy football team. So that means a lot of teams are really running the football against them. They're not really drop back passing and throwing the football because they don't have to. They're really trying to shorten the game and run the football and get on home with a W. So they need to develop them. I disagree with that. You could say the same thing about Cam Ward if you want to. I mean, they're not having a stellar year in Tennessee. But then again, that Tennessee doesn't have anything around him to help him.
Marvin?
Yeah, I agree with Candy and Mel. I think first of all, you have to understand this guy didn't get any real reps in the preseason with the first team. He wasn't the guy that they were looking at as being a starter going into the season. They brought in the veteran Flacco, and they had drafted Dylan Gabriel, and that's really where Stefanski's head was at. That was his focus. It kind of seems like Shedeur was a throw-in. Was a last-minute thought. When you hear the owner talk about, nobody in the building had even said his name up until the time he got drafted, lets you know that as an organization they really didn't consider him as a real prospect. But again, the GM there, I think it was Barry, in the fifth round saw an opportunity. Shedeur Sanders in his first game had more 20-yard completions in one game than any other Brown quarterback had all year. The guy was getting the ball down the field, playing with a young running back, playing with an average O-line, if that. And he's still out here making plays. I don't think that we've seen enough bad from him to say that he's definitely not the guy. I think we've seen enough good to say, something, we should really look at this guy in camp, give him some more reps, give him a different opportunity, see what he can do with an NFL offense, with a whole off season. And it's just, the negative narrative around this kid is just crazy. You know what I'm saying? It really is. All he's done, in my opinion, is show certain aspects of humility, maturity. He's a confident kid. He's a confident kid. You know what I mean? I think people struggle with that. You know what I mean? He's not a bad kid. He's not a mean kid. He's not saying crazy stuff. He's laughing at the media. He's laughing in his interviews, man. He's lighthearted. You know what I'm saying? He's genuinely a confident kid, and I think he genuinely expects to be successful. And people struggle, when they deal with that. I think they don't know how to deal with that. So McShay, I like Tom McShay. I've watched him throughout the years. I think this is a miss on his part. I think it's premature to say this guy isn't the guy. So I'm looking forward to seeing Shedeur finish the year out. I'm looking forward to seeing Shedeur, in an offseason program, and just getting all that under his belt. I'll tell you right now, you got a lot of teams who've seen Shedeur who would, I hope at this point now, would reconsider making a move to even get him in a trade, whatever it may be. We got a lot of teams that can use a young quarterback. And, and Mel is right. This league, you got to develop these guys, man. I feel like, are these coaches getting lazy? I mean, just think about what we're calling up a Phillip Rivers, 5 years after he's played a game. You know what I'm saying? There are no other young quarterbacks in this league for y'all to look at, that y'all been scouting and training. So, let's coach this kid up and give him some time to cook before we decide his fate.
Yeah, no question. I think there's no question that he is a bit premature right now.
Yeah.
I understand that Todd could look at all those stats and the fact that he's drafted in the fifth round. Usually if you're drafting somebody in the fifth round, I'm just talking fifth round in general, you'd like to think they're a hidden gem that they're later. Let's face reality, Tom Brady came later in the draft, and how did that turn out? I could sit here and go over a lot of late round picks. Even Joe Montana was drafted in the third round, and he wasn't a shoe-in for number one. How did that work out? So, Todd, you know what? I get it. Maybe you don't really like this guy's skill set right away, but still need a little bit more time. Plus, you need a stable coaching staff, too. And now, since you brought up Cam Ward, one of the recent stories I've heard out of Tennessee is that he's told the general manager and the administration, he wants to be able to meet every potential head coach, and I don't blame him. I mean, why not? You want to find out what his philosophy is. Can they work around him? You miss on the first one, but you can't afford to miss on the second one. I don't know. I watched it firsthand in Detroit when Joey Harrington, many label him as a bust. I don't really, to this day, feel he was a bust, only because of the fact that the Lions situation was as unstable as you can. You start out with Marty Morningwig, who takes his motorcycle and drives away when things aren't going right. And all of a sudden, there was a train wreck from there. So I don't want to get too detailed and off topic, too much to get to. But Joey Harrington, Joe Montana, they are what they are. All right, let's continue on with college football. Well, 49-17, won national championship. Coach Orgeron mentioned that his $17.1 million buyout payments from LSU ended December, and he wants to get back in coaching soon. But the question everybody has, why was he overlooked by so many colleges, and will he land in the NFL? And the second part of that question is, could Cincinnati be a good spot where he would reunite with Joe Burrow? All right, Candy, some thoughts.
Oh, geez. I don't see him going to the NFL. I think he's been a good college coach for how long he's been in. I just don't see that he'd want to get into the NFL. I see him staying in college, but I'm not sure who's going to take him yet.
Okay, Mel.
Yeah, I think Ed's a good coach, and I don't see him as a pro coach. Marvin would know better than me. I think he had a little bit. I think he might have had some experience with him, but just from the outside looking in, obviously, he's going to give you some good one-liners. I think the players like him. I think he's a good recruiter. I think he's a player's coach. I think he should get another opportunity in college football. I think that be good for college football because he is kind of a funny guy. He's kind of going on the circuit right now doing podcasts, letting out some secrets that weren't really secrets. Everybody knew about him, but he's kind of letting out secrets now about the college game and recruiting. And he had an interesting story about Joe Burrow that I listened to the other day. So he's a funny guy. I think he's good for college football. I think he'd be good somewhere in college football. Where he'd be good at, I don't know. Probably somewhere down there in Louisiana somewhere with that little twang that he has. But I think he should get another opportunity, whether it's a head coach or being part of the recruiting department. But I think he's good for college football. He's got plenty to say.
Marvin.
Yeah, Orgeron's the man. Ed Orgeron and Rod Marinelli were our two D-line coaches at USC in the mid to late 90s. Orgeron had tremendous energy, definitely a player's coach, had a great story starting out at UM as a GA. He used to talk about that all the time. And, we love the guy, man. And, obviously, he led one of the greatest college football teams in the history of college football, that 2019 LSU Joe Burrow team with a phenomenal defense. Man, Ed is made for college football. There's no doubt about it. He wants to coach college football. This is a guy who he loves the kids. He loves the game, and the money is just a plus. You know what I'm saying? So it would be shocking to not see him on a sideline. When you think about the impact he's able to have, but then you look at some of the reasons why LSU had to let him go. It wasn't as bad as Sherrod Moore by any means, but it was definitely in that lane. But yeah, he's somebody who I'd love to see back in college football. Him and Lane Kiffin are very close friends. Lane references him all the time. And, when you consider that the number one reason that Lane probably went to LSU was because of their recruiting opportunities in the state of Louisiana. Listen, that's Ed's backyard, man. You know what I'm saying? Like he has the whole, accent and the Cajun draw and all that. And I mean, that's sales, man. So I'd love to see him back in college football where he belongs. And again, I'd be shocked if someone with that level of experience, talent, a guy who's put players out, I'd be shocked if a head coach didn't find a spot for him on his roster.
Yeah, but I'm going to go the other way in this situation. I'll tell you why I'm going to do that. Let's just say there are no college football and the guy that wants a job that bad. Why would he not want to even be thinking about the intriguing possibility of going to the NFL? Just to kind of, I've seen this happen before. Hear me out on this one, okay? And I'll tell you why. When Kelvin Sampson got run out of college basketball, had no place to go because he was let go with cause, I think, because of what he did at Indiana. He ended up going out there, and he was a good coach, obviously, in the pros until he wound up back in college. So I'm not saying that Orgeron's in that category. He doesn't have a national championship, but you just never know. I've seen crazier things happen. I think he is ideally suited for the college game. But let's face it, there's always that intrigue that you may want to go to the NFL just because you want to know what it's like, how you would fare against men. But I agree with everybody what they're saying, that he's ideal for college football. But remember one thing, the Senior Bowl is coming up soon, and that's where a lot of these head coaching jobs as well as assistant jobs get filled. So keep that in mind. I agree, but I don't know. I'd like to see Orgeron take on the challenge and going into the pros. But that's interesting. Anybody else want to add to it? Go ahead. But I just want to throw my 2 cents in.
I think there's for Ed who develops young talent. That's kind of what he was known for as a D-line coach, developing these guys. I think his message, I think his message resonates with men, period. Whether you're in college, young men in college, or grown men in the NFL. I just think that, this is the kind of guy that wants to have impact with these kids coming out of high school. I think that's where his greatest impact would be with that age of athletes. So we'll see, man. The pros is a different animal. It is. But then you can argue with NIL now, in the way these guys are getting paid. We're in the pros in college. So definitely suited for college. I'd be shocked if he went to the pros, to be honest with you. So.
Well, it's okay. That's why I brought it up. I mean, it's okay for us to take different sides to get people's opinion. We'd certainly like opinions in the chat room. We're definitely going to get them on YouTube and other sources after this show is over with, but it's always an intriguing possibility.
I tell you who can use them. That no-name coach they had at UCLA. They could use them. They need it. They need an Ed Orgeron over at UCLA. Bringing some top talent and help develop some top talent and find a way to beat these Trojans. So we'll see. He loves LA. He said that, but he loves LA. And LA's
love to have Coach O. I mean, I would, because he's a great recruiter, and I think he's a good motivator of young men. I think I think he'd be great there. But we'll see. I'm gonna watch James Madison against Oregon, see what they look like. That's gonna give me kind of a precursor to what we're looking at UCLA in 2026, and get a good idea. They might have better athletes than UCLA does right now. So we'll see.
Well, he does know the LA market. All right, let's go on to another coach that was let go earlier, but replaced by Jim Moore Jr. That was Colorado State when they let Jay Norvell go. He went 2-5 this year, 18-26 in 4 years. Where do you think he could land, whether it's a head coaching job or an assistant job? Jay Norvell, to me, is an intriguing story.
I think he should go to Colorado. I mean, I know him and Deion kind of had a little bad blood, because of the whatever little rivalry they had. But I mean, they played up for that game, but Colorado needs somebody with that kind of energy and I think he's a defensive coach. They need some juice on the defensive side of the ball. I think that'd be a great hire for Deion if they could bring him over there and put him on the staff, as opposed to having a lot of guys who played in the league. Need to get some guys over there that can actually teach the game, know scheme and all that. And I'm not saying that the coaches that he has there are not qualified. I'm just saying the results haven't shown it. I mean, they can't stop a nosebleed. They're porous on the defensive side of the ball. They can't stop the run, and they can't run the football. So let's start by trying to stop the run and get somebody who specializes on that side of the ball, maybe.
You know what, Mel, what you said really does intrigue me. I can imagine Deion Sanders and Jay Norvell out with right now. Deion needs all the help he can get. He really is. And I'm going to talk about him on another show. I don't want to get too off track because we have college football playoff to deal with. But I really am glad that you brought that one up. Marvin, what do you have to answer that?
Yeah, listen, I'm not. This isn't any breaking news, but Jay Norvell was hanging out at USC. I know Lincoln Riley had him out of practice during the season. And you never know. But listen, I thought he was a good head coach. Colorado State in the NIL era it's a tough place to recruit, I think, and to compete for elite athletes. I mean, he's probably at Colorado State. You're probably the third best program in the state, next to the Buffaloes and Air Force. So I think he did a good job keeping those guys relevant. I think he did a good job bringing talent in, because they had guys at CSU who got drafted, went to the pros. There's a receiver I'm thinking about in particular. I think it was Tony Horton, maybe. But yeah, Jay's a good coach, man. I'd be shocked if he didn't land somewhere as an assistant or as a coordinator in college football, and then at some point get back to a head coaching position, because he has experience. He knows what he's doing. He's good with the guys. I love how he stands up for his athletes. I saw a few interviews, a few situations where he was talking about his ball players, and I love to see the coaches who support their players. So yeah, Jay should land on his feet. He's young enough to get a second chance,
Right.
and I'm sure that will happen.
Candy?
Luke Fickle, go out and get him, because you know where Jay was born? He was born in Madison, Wisconsin. So bring him home, and, Wisconsin could use him, and he could help them out. That would be my pick.
That's reasoning. Okay, good, Candy. I'm glad to. Yeah, I hope you land somewhere. But now everything that you guys have said, guys and gal, they all intrigue me. We'll watch that story and see how it develops. All right, well, let's go on to Mark Sanchez. You gotta wonder if the guy's committed career suicide. And don't do it in Indianapolis, because Mike Tyson served prison time in Indianapolis for rape. Let's go over the Mark Sanchez timeline about what took place. He was stabbed in Indianapolis at 12:30 a.m. in early October. Then he was arrested for being sloppy drunk. Another man listed as the victim told police that he was delivering food when Sanchez told him he needs to move and he couldn't park where he was delivering the food, and Sanchez threatened and proceeded to attack him. Boy, Mark, what the heck are you doing? Sanchez was not cooperative at the scene. Brady Quinn obviously replaced Sanchez the next day when the Raiders took on the Colts. During the broadcast, he was arrested on charges of battery and injury, unlawful entry of a motor vehicle, public intoxication. The story continues. Fox Sports fires the guy, and Drew Brees takes over. And all of this, to me, nothing happens late. But when you think about the fact that he proceeded to attack him, okay, and he told him he needed to move and couldn't park where where he was delivering the food, and then threatening him. That's bad stuff by Mark Sanchez. Mel, I mean, geez, oh, Pete, Mark, I mean, all you had was a great career, and you threw it away.
Yeah, typical USC player type of behavior, always finding their way under the police blotter. All kidding aside, I don't know what he was thinking about. I mean, nothing good. I mean, people. My dad used to always say, nothing good happens after 12 a.m. There was only two things open that late. That's Legs and Waffle House, and both of them will get you in trouble if you hang out there too long. I don't know. I really can't. I really don't want to. I mean, I like Mark Sanchez commentary on Fox. I think he's intelligent. He knows the game. But obviously, you see, there's two sides to the individual. He has something that he needs to deal with because that situation was just really. It came out of the blue. I mean, no, I don't think anybody saw that coming. It was just. I think everybody was kind of shocked when they saw that come across the headlines. It's an unfortunate situation. Yeah, he went to USC. He'll land back on his feet. There's a lot of USC folks out there, so he'll be okay. But he's going to have to sit down for a minute and rebuild his image. And he will be fine. I mean, don't cry for Mark Sanchez. He'll be fine. But it was an unfortunate situation, a situation that obviously did need to happen. He's out there on work. He's out there for a job to do a job, but finds himself out in the middle of the night. I don't know if he got a roofie slipped to him or something. I don't know what happened.
Right.
But it's an unfortunate situation for him and his family. I mean, it's embarrassing. I mean, let's be honest. It's embarrassing, but he can recover from it. I mean, it's not the end of the world.
All right. Well, as I look back at this whole thing, and I just think it through in my head, the other guy obviously was told the police that he was simply delivering food when Sanchez told him that he needed to move and couldn't park where he was at. And then Sanchez proceeds to threaten him. And then we all know what happened after that. It blew up, Marvin.
Yeah, I think those 3 years at the University of South Central got into his head, man. He took South Central out to Indianapolis, that mentality. Listen, this is America, okay? This is the land of forgiveness, the land of second chances, third chances, and fourth chances. The fact that Michael Vick has a head coaching job, has had endorsements, got another football job when he got out, you remember the sentiment about Michael Vick, right? How people felt about Michael Vick. Okay, if he can come back and have a career and have a happy life, then Mark Sanchez can come back. All right. Listen, Mark Sanchez is the most successful hot take. He's the most successful New York Jet quarterback in the last 25 years, taking us to 2 AFC title games back to back. One of them as a rookie. So listen, and he's a great commentator. He's good on the mic. He's good with people. He has good energy. He's comfortable. Fox, Colin Cowherd, was always having him on his show. Listen, Mark will bounce back from this. In America, we have a short memory. If you can entertain us, then we will allow you to have a second or third chance. Listen, when I was living in Miami after the first OJ trial, I heard all this negative sentiment about OJ. I saw him at a restaurant. People were treating him like he was Jesus. I kid you not. So if OJ, if Mike, if these guys can come back from their incidences, then I'm certain that Mark will come back from this, get a little help, get a little therapy.
OJ never really made it back.
Well, put like this: if you saw the response that he got in this public,
he was beloved.
After it blew my mind. This was in Miami, in Coral. If you saw the reception, you would understand what I mean when I say anybody can come back. Right. So, but I hear what you mean in regards to the actual public and the media, and I get all that. But no, man, this is something that will
Another USC Trojan found himself on the police blotter.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? We gangsters, don't mess with us. That's the bottom line. Don't mess with us.
You're right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, I'm not a killer, but don't push me. That's our mentality. But no, Mark could be fine, man. I hate to see it happen. I hate that he lost his career. He lost that gig. But I have no doubt that he'll bounce back from this.
Well, let me tell you this. It didn't hurt that Michael Vick had Tony Dungy in his corner either. Tony Dungy took him under his wing, and Michael obviously recovered well. Now, I'll tell you, I had an encounter with O.J. Simpson when I was a young tyke, and it was good. And it was good because he bailed me. He helped me out when Howard Cosell, Mr. Toupee away, wouldn't give me an opportunity. So O.J. picked up, and it was pretty good experience for a young guy. I had no problem with O.J. Simpson.
Hey, Scotty, I met that same night I met O.J. at that restaurant in Miami, me and my wife. Yeah. He was cool, super cool, a little intoxicated, but he was cool though. You know what I mean? So, listen, Mark Sanchez will be back, and he may start out on this show with us. Okay, on his road to redemption, we got to get him on this show to go with us.
If you can get him on this show, I'll bring him back. Hey, once upon a time, I brought on Mickey Callaway, for crying out loud. The guy did some crazy things out in baseball, and another podcast that has very few followers, much less than we have, picked the guy up. And when I got rid of him, that's okay. Callaway, I'm happy he went, because all I did was upgrade over to Warren Brewster, the former Philadelphia Philly, and Barry Foote, one of my longtime buddies. So nothing against Callaway, but Callaway went from a place that has over close to 1 million page views to one that only has about 175. So I'm not knocking a competitor, but the reality is this. Mark Sanchez wants to come back. I'll bring him back. I have no problem. I got the right forgiving group here, and I have no problem with that. Yeah. But I don't know, Candy, what do you think about Mark Sanchez? I mean, let's face reality. I mean, I don't take any stock of what Colin Cowherd says. I mean, he's got more opinions than politicians tell lies.
Come on, man. Colin's all right, man.
I don't really like the guy. I'm sorry, Mark.
I do.
Colin used to be very good, but now Colin is full of himself.
Yeah, exactly, Mel. Thank you.
And he waffles. I mean, he forgets real quickly what he said 6 months ago, but I have a long memory on some things. I can't remember what I had for breakfast in the morning when you ask me in the evening, but there's some things that he'll say about players, and then he'll, he kind of backpedals on it, and start moonwalking. Like Shedeur Sanders. Now, Shedeur Sanders, he said he never saw him as a first round talent. No, you go back to prior to the draft, what he was saying about Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah. Listen, I've been a fan of Colin. I think he does a great job. You're okay to change your mind. I think enough people don't,
it's okay to change your mind, but it's not okay to act like you never said that he was a first round talent. Don't do that.
Yeah, I hear you.
I've been listening to Colin Cowherd for a long time, but he has changed. Colin Cowherd has become full of himself. So the show is more about him than it is about educating the fans. It ain't been the same
since Joy left. That's all I got to say. It ain't been the same.
Oh, there you go. Left. That's a different story. Now you're talking, man.
No, I'm just saying.
It wasn't the same since Joy Taylor was actually pretty good. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to do a little cross promotion for my baseball show. Barry Foote and Warren Bruce are two of the best baseball analysts you can come up with. And I'm proud that they go ahead and come on our show at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time on Monday night. Obviously, this Monday night, Marvin's going to join me on the Sports Exchange. I'm giving the baseball people a little time off so they get ready. But I'll tell you, those guys are good. And again, Callaway was all right when I tried to rehab him. But you know what? When he decided to go with somebody way smaller, well, that's okay. They got their famous guy who got run out of baseball. That's another story, and teaches lessons. But that's another day for another time. Candy, some thoughts about Sanchez?
Yes, Mark Sanchez made a bad decision on the road, going out, having some drinks, and then getting into this altercation. Now, we don't know all of the actual details. We've heard little bits and pieces, but this is America. We've given how many different people second chances, third chances.
As we should.
And right, exactly. Now, I think we'll learn more. Sanchez is out. He is with his home, his family, and with his kids and his wife, celebrating the holidays. A judge in late November granted Sanchez's motion for continuance and rescheduled both the final pre-trial hearing and the trial date to March of 2026. I will say that Toll has also filed a civil suit against Sanchez and the Fox Corporation over the incident.
You suing Fox?
Yep.
Yeah, because he was an employee of Fox. He was out there for a job. Yeah, he's going to get some money.
Yeah.
That's for certain. He's going to get it.
It's the American way, baby. It's the American way.
He's going to get some money.
Yeah. And and Sanchez being a USC graduate, he's successful. He has the money. You know what I mean? So it's all good.
Well, the only thing I'll say about Sanchez, if you were able to be successful in New York, let alone with Rex Ryan, I mean, you're giving him the loot.
You like Rex?
I like Rex.
I thought it was Scott.
Yeah, it was Rex Ryan, but I'll tell you, when I think about it, I'm being a Lions guy. The Lions got Matthew Stafford, so it's okay that they had Sanchez. I mean, if you compare him in contrast, Sanchez and Matthew Stafford, hey, Rex Ryan, let me tell you, Rex Ryan could sell me windows and cars, okay? And he's the greatest salesman I have ever seen in my life.
Okay? I mean, the New York Jets really haven't been much since he left.
Well, that's true. I mean, I can't believe that they haven't rehired him. You couldn't do it. I'll tell you one thing, even he'd be an upgrade in Miami with the Dolphins down there. Hey, listen, I'd like to see Rex get back into coaching because he's a good salesman.
And let's be honest, I mean, Mark Sanchez wasn't the greatest quarterback. I mean, he was good in Rex's system.
Well,
hold on, Marvin. Mark Sanchez was not a great quarterback. He was able to manage the position, hand the ball off well. I mean, look at the butt fumble. I mean, come on now. He was a clown back there. He couldn't really he didn't throw the ball that well. He was not a great passer when he got to the league.
He was a young quarterback. He was a rookie in the AFC title game. He was a second-year player in the AFC title game.
I understand, but he was kind of like Jalen Hurts. If you the comparison, not that that just didn't. There was just something missing with his game. Kind of like how people feel about Jalen. Even though Jalen is a Super Bowl champion, people just aren't. He can never do enough to make everybody happy. Sanchez was in that same type of position. If you understand what I'm saying.
Well, I'll tell you what, to your point, to this day, Pete Carroll has said that Mark Sanchez should have stayed in school, and they had a little bit of
he said that back then, yeah, right,
yeah,
right.
He said it back then, and then he doubled down on it recently. Just in the last 5-10 years, he had said, Mark should have stayed one more year, and maybe so, but the guy played 10 plus years in the NFL. He's a vested player. He could say he has wins in the playoffs. He's taken his team to the playoffs multiple times. These are things that a lot of guys can't say. You got guys.
They went to what? Did they go to 3 AFC championships?
2 years in a row. The AFC championship game 2 years in a row, back to back.
Right.
He led us there. When we had a defense, we had a run game. We had Sean Green. We were tough, man. Rex was the head coach. We were a tough team with a young quarterback.
But he was highly criticized. He was highly criticized for not being able to get him over the hump. There's always something that people didn't like about his game. I mean, I'm just telling you. This is what the word was. They just like Jalen. I mean, even though Jalen has won a Super Bowl, they're highly critical of him and his game.
Yeah. Mel, to your point, Mark Sanchez has more interceptions than he does touchdowns in the NFL.
Wow.
So does Joe Namath. He's in the Hall of Fame. Another New York Jets quarterback.
Candy coming off the top rope with that one. That was unnecessary, Candy. That was unnecessary.
Hey.
Was her role obviously seemed like it's necessary. I mean, come on, she's our stat queen. I'll tell you, if there's anybody.
I'm playing with her.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good.
But she brings it, man. All right, well, I'll tell you what. Let's move. Let's move on to the New England Patriots. Been a really good story all year. I haven't really talked about them a lot, but we will at some point. And we're going to start right now. The New England Patriots actually at one point had 9 straight wins, the longest win streak since the 2015 season. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Their head coach obviously was impressed with Drake May's mindset. Mike Vrabel said he was already preparing the next game for the New York Jets. My goodness. Well, Josh Daniels was put on the earth to be an offensive coordinator, and that's exactly what May had to say about him. Drake May is an offensive coordinator. I'll tell you one thing. Think about this. So when you look at things and put everything in perspective, okay, that to me, as a Patriots offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels has a 739 winning percentage. As Denver's head coach, he was from 2009 to 2010. He ended up having a 377 mark. So you talk about one extreme from a coordinator to a head coach, you've got it. Now, get this. The Patriots went on to win their 10th straight game, and here are the opponents that they beat. They beat the Carolina Panthers. They beat the Buffalo Bills, New Orleans Saints, Tennessee Titans, Cleveland Browns, Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay Bucks, New York Jets, Cincinnati Bengals, and the New York Giants. But here's the big kicker about Vrabel, and then we'll end up going back to it. The Titans, you talk about the curse of Mike Vrabel, have gone from actually firing him. You ended up firing the general manager, John Robinson, head coach Vrabel, then Ron Carthon goes down, and now you have Brian Callahan. Let's talk about the success that May has had with Josh McDaniels, and he's had Candy with, obviously, Mike Vrabel. This kid, I'll tell you what, McDaniels is brilliant when it comes to being an offensive mind. He's proven it. I can't see him taking another head coaching job. I really can't.
This also speaks, if we look back at Trevor Lawrence and a quarterback going into the league, having a lot of disruptions in the beginning, not the right coach for him, bringing in the right coach, and now Trevor is having success. Drake is having success. He in week 7 against the Tennessee Titans may set a franchise record in completion percentage. Think about that. He played in the same place that Tom Brady played, and yet he has the franchise record for completion percentage in a regular season game at 91.3% completion percentage, overtaking Tom Brady's 88.5%, while he also threw in that game for 222 yards, 2 touchdowns in the 31-13 victory. He was highly touted. My question would be, Minnesota wanted that pick and wanted to get up, and the Patriots wouldn't budge. I wonder what we would think of him as if he was in a Minnesota Vikings uniform as opposed to the Patriots.
So that's a hypothetical, but I want to go back to the one thing, because I got 2 players following you now, Candy. When you think of the fact that Mike Vrabel, his coach, is saying that this guy was already preparing for the New York Jets on the plane. Mel, that tells you one thing, that this guy here is the most humble kid on the planet, thinking about his next opponent after a win. You don't see that with a lot of quarterbacks or players these days. He's not preparing for the next opponent. You like to think you do it the next day, but not this kid. And then you put a guy like McDaniels in there. You obviously know he's genius at that 739 mark, less the 377. But Mel, your thoughts about the kid preparing on the plane for his next opponent, in this case, the Jets. That's impressive.
He's obviously all about ball. I can't say that a lot of people that, when I was playing the game would be concerned about the next game on the plane ride back after a win. I think, there's a lot of different things that go on the plane, and studying wasn't one of them, but we didn't have iPads and the things that they have, the technology that they have right now. But that's, in order to get that extra edge, you had to put in that extra time, and you see that he wants it. So, and you can see the development that he's had over the last 2 seasons, and Josh McDaniels is a huge part of it. And that goes back to Marvin's redemption story. I mean, he failed. I won't say he failed miserably in Denver, but he failed. And, there were some tough things there. He had Tim Tebow as his quarterback. I don't think he really wanted him there. Wasn't really a nice fit for him. He came back to New England, rebuilt his image, got the Raiders job. You can say he failed miserably there, but again, it's tough to judge him there because that franchise is so dysfunctional. You look at Pete Carroll. I mean, he's a Super Bowl winning coach, and I don't know if he's going to survive the offseason with the way that the Raiders are playing right now. But he's got the right people around him. He's got a grown up in the head coach. He's got a grown up, somebody who has a lot of experience as an offensive coordinator, been very successful as an offensive coordinator, hasn't been very successful as a head coach. And I think his lane is offensive coordinator and developing that position. And Mike Vrabel, I can tell you, he probably feels very lucky to have him. That takes a huge burden off of his shoulders, because if you can develop that position, you can have somebody who can play that position competently, you have a good opportunity to win. And he didn't have that always in Tennessee. I mean, he had Ryan Tannehill, and he made the best of that situation with Ryan Tannehill. Say what you want about him. Ryan Tannehill was not the best quarterback. This kid here has a lot more talent than Ryan Tannehill, is a lot better player, plays that position, manages that position a lot better than Ryan Tannehill does. So Vrabel is actually, he's won despite that position. Now he has an opportunity to win because he has somebody that can play that position very well.
By the way, some of the comments in the chat room, yeah, Candy, just put that up again. I want to make sure we keep everything kosher here in the chat room. I understand you may have certain issues about certain things, such as camera. We have that under control. Let's just focus on the topics at hand and address them to the panel. Thank you very much. Okay, Marvin.
Yeah, the NFL, the evaluation process, whether you're trying to evaluate a guy who could be a potential head coach or a quarterback, it's all a crapshoot. It really is. Drake May surprised the heck out of me. I'll be honest with you. And what I mean is, coming out of North Carolina, I didn't see him being able to step in there pretty much immediately and have tremendous impact. That just wasn't what I was thinking was going to happen with him. But it's happened. This guy is already considered one of the better young quarterbacks in the NFL. And again, in this league, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have anything. So for Vrabel being a veteran head coach, coming over from Tennessee, the fact that he has his guy changes everything for him. You know what I'm saying? You look at Aaron Glenn in New York, if Aaron Glenn had a quarterback, it'd be a completely different situation. So kudos to the Patriots and their scouting department for identifying this young talent and taking a risk to get him. Additionally, when we talk about Josh McDaniels being an offensive coordinator, head coach, there is a tremendous difference between being the OC and the head coach. It is. I mean, you're talking about, having a specific unit that you're focused on versus being a CEO over all the units. You know what I'm saying? And that's a different experience. And if you're not built for that, really prepared for that, if you don't understand that at that level, then it's going to be a problem. You know what I'm saying? And, when you get these gurus, these defensive coordinator gurus, and you look at these offensive coordinator gurus, just look at Detroit Lions last year when they had Ben Johnson and they had Aaron Glenn, right? You thought that these guys were, the elite of their class, at what they do. And you said, and one guy goes to Chicago with a generational quarterback in Caleb Williams, and now he's looking at potentially being the number 1 seed, top 2 seed, right? Your other guy goes to New York, no quarterback, and they're talking about firing this guy 12 games in. So, it's always a crapshoot. For Vrabel, having a quarterback is everything. Leadership matters. It does. Your ability to draw up plays, and to identify matchups for your players is different than you being able to get up there at the podium in a team meeting and address that team and get their attention and get their respect. And then from there, being able to lead from the top position, lead the offense, lead the defense, and the special teams.
Right.
It's different being a head coach, man. It's a different responsibility. You got to have a different skill set. So it doesn't really, just looking at Josh McDaniels, honestly, his demeanor and how he answers questions, and I think he could be a little bit smug and arrogant. I think maybe that comes with success for some people. It didn't shock me, to be honest with you, that this guy didn't, he didn't pan out. Also, when he was in Denver, who was his quarterback? Tim Tebow? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
So, again, that's back to my point. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a shot. I don't care who you are, Drake May, phenomenal player. Patriots rolled the dice on him and they hit. That only helps Vrabel, who, again, first-year coach. You saw what the Patriots were last year, last couple years. I mean, they've really been a joke. It's been unfortunate. Since Brady left, they haven't been the same. Now they're looking like those vintage Brady teams, just in that they can get wins. We'll see how this thing plays out. We'll see if McDaniel stays an OC. Obviously, is huge for his quarterback. That quarterback,
Right.
Has an OC with tremendous experience, and it's only going to help him. But again, McDaniels was so young, he'll get another shot. I mean, there's somebody else who's going to look at him and say, well, look what we did with Drake May. Look at his experience, head coach. Even though it was terrible, he has that experience, So
Right.
I wouldn't be shocked to see him go to another team. I hope it's not the Jets.
I hear you. Well, Candy, you've already commented on this or not?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
So why don't you go to a station break real quick? We appreciate pertinent chats in there. We really do appreciate the chat room more than people ever know. We just want to keep on point so we can keep the flow of the show going. Station break, Candy. When we come back, we will talk about the Detroit Lions. Marvin kind of tipped our hand a little bit, and we're going to come back to the Lions. Go ahead, Candy.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, talks about his 40-plus years in the media business and how it has changed. Anybody looking to get into the business, whether it be on the broadcasting side or the written side, it's a great book, great read. Definitely a great gift idea. If you're still looking for that last minute gift, it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content. Go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to be a guest or sponsor a show, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. And last but not least, if you see that red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to us. What are you waiting for? Just click it, like us, share us with all your friends and family and anyone you think might enjoy listening to any of our great programming, and then turn on the notifications so you're notified every time we go live. Back to you, Scott.
All right, let's talk about the Detroit Lions. They have a good 1-2 punch for sacks, and Al-Qadim Muhammad, he had 9 sacks, and Candy's going to update that in a moment. And Aiden Hutchinson, 8.5 sacks. She will update it in a few moments. But the Lions, after their win versus the Dallas Cowboys, have the most wins in NFL history. Get this, on a Thursday night. Well, they own Thursday night for sure. But now they're in a precarious position, and that's this. They have a 41% chance of making the playoffs, and 86% if they win out. They'll be the first team to do this in 17 years, missing the playoffs while leading the league in points with 428 points. You lead the league in points and you can miss the playoffs. My goodness.
Yeah, how many points are they giving up?
Well, I don't have that. I'm talking about how many they've scored. While Candy's going out there and researching that, she'll research that too. But the last team that did this was the New Orleans Saints, who amassed 463 points. And they did that in 2008. Now, the remaining schedule for the Detroit Lions is they take on Pittsburgh on Sunday at 4:25 p.m. on CBS. And then on 12:25 Christmas Day, they get the Vikings at 4:30 p.m. That's on Netflix. And, of course, they get the Bears, and that'll be determined. But the Detroit Lions did tie the New England Patriots streak without back-to-back losses with 57 games over a 3-year period. So you're talking about Detroit 15-0 after a loss since week 8 of 2022. Candy, do you have those updated stats?
So the Lions have scored 428 points and gave up 345 points. This performance places them first in points scored and 23rd in points allowed per game at 24.6. And then as far as sacks, Muhammad leads with 9, Aiden Hutchinson 8.5, Jack Campbell 5, Derek Barnes 4, Brian Branch 2.5, and Alex Anzalone at 1.5.
So yeah, those numbers are up to date. I just want to make sure that there were things that we didn't overlook. We didn't. So with that said, Mel, I guess the best way we summarize this is this: the Lions haven't lost back to back. If they play the script, they should beat the Steelers. They should. But this is a team that had high expectations, and all of a sudden they find themselves on the outside in the hunt looking in. Mel, how would you define the Lions season as a whole right now?
It's a disappointment. I think it's a disappointment obviously for the fans, the players, the organization. But I knew it was going to be difficult because their window of opportunity is kind of closed on them. Well, Ben Johnson gave them an extra year by not taking a head coaching job 2 years ago. So they got an extra year with Ben Johnson. That was the opportunity. For the last 2 years was their opportunity to go, win themselves a Super Bowl. They fell short of that mission the past 2 years, and now it's very difficult. Like I said, calling plays is just not a matter of looking at a call sheet and just calling plays off that call sheet. I mean, there's a philosophy that goes into calling plays. Ben Johnson has been doing it for a very long time, and he's been doing it very well. And you look at what he's doing with Chicago. I mean, he's setting things up, and offenses look disjointed all year long. They have not been able to get into a flow. They're scoring a lot of points, but the offense. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, even though the offense has looked disjointed, let me get off the offense. Defensively, they have problems. That's the biggest problem. You can't score 41 points and lose. You can't score. When you score 34 points, you expect to win. The defense has to be able to get off the field, and they have to be able to stop teams. They have to be able to stop the good teams. So let me get off the offense. It is the defense. They have a problem on defense. I mean, they are porous on the defensive side of the ball, giving up big plays, guys running around wide open. I mean, Puka Nacua, I mean, they knew Puka Nacua was getting the ball, but they couldn't stop him. I know they have a lot of injuries, but that's no excuse. It's next man up. I mean, everybody's getting a paycheck. You got to go out there and you have to perform. They have to figure out a way to be able to stop somebody. And that offense, that complementary football that they have is no longer there. That defense won't travel in the playoffs because you have to be able to stop the run. It's not conducive to winning football, giving up those kind of points and allowing them to just do whatever they want to do, throwing the football and running the football. It's just that won't travel. It's not sustainable. That type of play is not sustainable, and it wouldn't go very far in the playoffs. I'm sorry. Let me get off the offense. It's that the defense is a real problem.
Okay. Marvin.
Yeah, I mean, when you have that many points and you're looking at potentially not making the playoffs, to Mel's point, what it's telling you is you're beating the hell out the bad teams, but when you play the good teams, you're not putting up enough points. You can put that on the defense, but the offense isn't putting enough points. And you look at the inconsistency just in their play this year again. When you lose, when you're a head coach and you're a new head coach, you rely on a strong staff, a strong veteran staff. And there's no doubt about it that Campbell was relying on Johnson and Glenn as his offense and defensive coordinators. Right. These guys were outstanding. They were considered to be some of the premier coordinators in the league when they were with Detroit. So to lose them, I mean, you're going to feel that. You see Dan Campbell holding the call sheet. Like Mel was saying, you can't just go out there and call plays. You got to have some kind of rhythm. You got to have some type of system. You got to have something in place. You know what I mean? And going out there and taking the call sheet from your OC and calling these plays on fourth down and you determining what's going to happen. Dan Campbell ain't really built for all that. That's why he had Ben Johnson. So when you see the leadership leave, when you see the real teachers of the team leave, when you see the guys who really are molding the offense, molding the defense, when they leave, man, it's scary because you don't know what's left. You don't know what you're going to be when these things walk out the door. And, we're seeing it now. We're seeing, remnants of Detroit falling apart. Aiden Hutchinson Great player, was great in college, and he had some injuries in the NFL, but he's been really good in the NFL. They definitely have pieces on both sides of the ball, and he's a bright spot. He's a guy who they took a risk, a gamble on, drafting him early, and he's panned out. I mean, he's a good player. So if Detroit can get their offensive leadership and defensive leadership together, if these guys can find coordinators, find some type of system where these good players that they have can ball and they can win some games, they'll be all right. But right now, I really feel like the wheels are falling off, and their window could be closing. I think that's a very real thing without the right leadership at offense and defense coordinator.
Well, no question about it. I mean, Dan Campbell took away the play calling from John Morton. Okay, for one game it was okay, but what has it done since? All that was a scapegoat move. All right, you're blaming John. Yeah. You're doing that. But you had a winnable football game against the Eagles where all you did was go 0 for 5, okay, on 4th downs. Okay, whose fault is that? Then you laid an egg against the Minnesota Vikings. And those are 2 games that if you had back, it's another story. And, of course, you don't lose a division rival like the Green Bay Packers twice because that's going to be bad to begin with. And, obviously, the Packers have the tie-breaking advantage as we go on. So your points are well taken. But John Morton, to me, looks like a scapegoat here. Many years ago, like, who was it? Mike Martz was a scapegoat when Rod Marinelli was there. They got rid of him, and all of a sudden they went 0-16. Go figure. Let's go blame the offensive coordinator like they did many years ago with Rod Marinelli and Mike Martz, who we all know had a whale of a career out in St. Louis with the Rams and won a Super Bowl, the greatest show on turf. So let's just blame John Morton.
Listen, in the sack, his John Morton is a veteran coach. He's a veteran coach, been in the NFL for a long time. But listen, when Dan Campbell's sitting there with that general manager, and they're sitting with the owner, and they're having those meetings after the games. I mean, Dan, the unfortunate reality is it's a normal part of the culture to pass the buck and say, listen, we got to get this thing together. We got to find us a new OC. We got to find us a new DC. That's what they do. You know what I mean? So it kind of seems like you're throwing a guy under the bus, but it's just the culture. That's normal NFL culture. When the head coach is not going to be the first guy fired, you got to look down the line, and that first guy is that OC or that DC.
I mean, Jared Goff's a heck of a quarterback. I have no problem with Jared Goff at all. He's done as good a job as he can. Candy, go ahead. We got to leave a little bit left for you.
So, to all of your points, Dan Campbell was in a tough spot because he lost both really good coordinators, your DC and your OC last year. And they stayed for him one more year. They could have had jobs the previous year. So he has to come up with new coordinators to help him with this team. To Mel's point, though, if you look at where the Lions are defensively now within the league, total yards, they rank 22nd on defense. Passing yards, they rank 24th. Rushing yards, they rank 13th on defense. Points, they rank 23rd. The defensive side of things was what really got you there last year. Everybody was afraid of your defense last year. For you to fall down that far in the league defensively has really made a difference. And yes, you've had injuries, but I could say you had all kinds of injuries last year and you overcame them last year. You're not overcoming those injuries this year. And that's where I think the difference is, as well as the coordinators.
I think they were so explosive on offense last year that they only had to play one style of defense. This year, they're having to stop the run, and they can't do it. Last year, they would play with a lead so much that obviously they're just in passing formations on the defensive side of the ball. They're just trying to stop the pass. They didn't have to really worry about teams running on them. I think because they're in a lot closer games this year, and teams are jumping out on them and getting the lead. It's showing the weaknesses of that defense and that defensive philosophy.
Well, all I say is Brad Holmes has a lot of work to do this offseason, and he does have a lot of work to do. Now you're starting to see some weaknesses. We're going to go to a couple of topics. There'll be rapid fire. Then we're going to get to the meat of what we're doing here as well. Philip Rivers throws his first TD pass in 1,800 days. What were you doing, Candy, 1,800 days ago? I mean, my gosh. First touchdown pass in 1,800 days. That's why I brought the topic. And he throws a touchdown pass. That's a long time.
That is quite some time. I mean, let's face it, he resets his retirement because he
Right.
was eligible for Hall of Fame. It also resets his health insurance now as well.
Right.
But 5 years is a long time to be away from the game. And we talked about it earlier on the show. Weren't there any other rookies or any other quarterbacks? I mean, don't get me wrong. Phillip Rivers is a good quarterback, but to be away from the game for that long, for him to be the best choice they had to go out and get, just was a little surprising considering he's been out. Although his body's more rested after 5 years of not being hit as well.
But my question to you was, what were you doing 1,800 days ago? Don't give me the story about Rivers. We already know that.
5 years ago, that was before we were doing broadcasts, Scott.
Exactly.
On this medium.
Okay, that's all I asked, Candy. It was a simple question.
Candy, telling you were running from the zombie apocalypse from COVID that we thought was going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's what you would do.
Yeah.
That would have been
all right,
COVID.
Marvin, well, now that you stepped in, what were you doing 1,800 days ago?
I was hoping that Mel and Candy didn't turn into zombies during COVID. I didn't know. There was so much bad information going around. I didn't know what the deal was. You know what I'm saying? I just stayed in the house and minded my business. 1,800 days ago, I was just here with my wife, my 2 kids, and just trying to, not go outside and get infected and turn into a zombie. That's what I was doing.
That's fair. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
That's why I brought it up, is what people were doing 1,800 days ago. Meanwhile, Mrs. Statistic is giving me everything on the planet except what she was doing. But she's right, though. We began to get this thing going, and that's where she finally got it right. Okay, go ahead, Mel.
Let me say, I am part of my day job. I am part of the financial industry, and I'm actually considered one of those employees where I still had to go to work, and essential employee. So I was still going to work even though throughout that time frame. So I had to be extra cautious and careful. But yes.
No, you do great in the financial industry. That was just a simple trick question that you got tricked up when you were trying to come up with stats is all you were doing. But you're right. You're definitely an intricate part of what we're doing. And that's when we got this YouTube thing going to what we're looking to do, where it's become now. Great stuff, Candy. All right, Mel, 1,800 days ago, we already know that what the repercussion is, but one first TD pass in 1,800 days. My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, it goes back to Marvin's point. I mean, he said, and I think I said it earlier, I mean, they're not developing these players. I mean, there's got to be somebody out there who is on somebody's practice squad. They should have had somebody on their practice squad that, that could come in and play, as opposed to getting the guy off his couch. I mean, he looks like, he looked like he'd been away from the game for, physically, I'm saying, for 1,800 days. Hey, look, all the power to him. We know that position is not a position that requires a whole lot of physicality, as far as, you just got to get back there. I mean, Dan Marino could still, and his right arm was still a cannon when he retired. And obviously he was much younger. The problem with Dan Marino is his knees were bad, and he couldn't move anymore. But that right arm, hell, his right arm probably right now, he can still make all the throws. Phillip Rivers is always going to be able to make the throws because he was a talented thrower of the football. His problem is going to be getting out of the way. He's getting rid of the ball fast, quick. It's a great story. Again, I still don't think it's going to end well. It's not going to end well. I mean, it's going to be a hamstring. It's going to be a hard hit because he cannot get out of the way. This story, it's not going to end well. Yeah, he's got a false sense of confidence. He survived one game. If they make it to the playoffs, it's a different level of intensity in the playoffs. There's going to be more asked of him in the playoffs. He's going to hang on to the ball a little bit longer. His reaction time is not what it is. Yeah, he can process the information. He can see it and process it, but the time that it takes for him to get to his brain, to his right arm, is not the same amount of time that it used. I mean, it used to be quick now. Now it's a little bit slower. And all we're talking about is fractions of seconds. We're not talking about 2 seconds or 3 seconds. We're only talking about fractions of seconds. That's what you're talking about in the NFL. And so I don't think it's still going to end well.
Listen,
so what were you doing 1,800 days ago? Everybody keep dodging this thing.
I was probably driving for Amazon. I was an essential worker. I was delivering packages during the pandemic.
All right, there you go.
Thank you,
That's a
Mel.
question that got past everybody. All right,
Listen,
that's okay. What was I
Scott,
doing?
what does this say about Anthony Richardson? You know, that's really the question that comes to mind when we talk about 1,800 days and this guy.
Well, he came back now. He's cleared to play from that little incident that he had with the bands or whatever. I guess it was pretty bad. He fractured the orbital bone.
And to Mel's point, listen, I'm thankful for Phillip Rivers that he survived this game. I'm not of the opinion that, you know, this is the new thing to do. Listen, any given play, they could take this dude out. You cannot convince me that his body is really ready for this like that. You know what I'm saying? He survived that game. By the grace of God. And, you know, the human body wasn't made for football, wasn't made for NFL football, wasn't made to be a quarterback standing in that pocket. I'm literally praying for this dude, no joke, that he's able to walk out these next couple games okay. As a side note, Scott, there you go.
Yeah, but you know what, Marvin? Mel had him on crutches last week. He still survived. That's all I'm
Listen,
saying.
for good reason, because Mel's been out there. Mel's been out there.
No,
that is
know.
A grown man's game. It is a young man's game. It is a violent game. That game is a violent game. And on defense, every NFL defense, every defense period has really one objective: get to the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And he was already immobile when he was playing in his Hall of Fame career. 5 years later, man, come on, this dude. I don't want to see it because I like Phil. I like him a lot as a player. I like what he presents as a person. I like his whole situation. I do. Man, this is nothing to play with, though.
Marvin said he survived. That's it. Is he survived? And that's different. That's saying a lot when you say somebody survived.
Yeah.
All right, so let me ask the athletes a question. Let me ask a hypothetical question. Okay, Shannon Sharp seems to think that the Colts should have contacted Colin Kaepernick, who's been out 8 years. All right, no. I'll start with you. I'll start with Candy. You can sit this one out. Colin Kaepernick doesn't belong in there in the first place, but he would have gotten killed after being out 8 years. What do you think, Mel?
No, I mean, Colin Kaepernick, he'll post a little bit. He's working out and this, that. He's not working out. I mean, he's not ready to play the game at that level. Even when he was trying to make his comebacks, he wasn't really trying to make his comebacks. I don't believe he was just trying to get his name out there in circulation for whatever causes that he may have coming up. But Colin really, after he left the game, I don't think he really was trying for. After a number of years, I don't think he was really trying to get back in the NFL. If he wanted to, he could have played in another league. If he wanted to, and I don't think he should have had to do that. We all know why at least I feel that Colin Kaepernick was blackballed. But again, he was good in that type of offense, Jim Harbaugh's type of offense. He had some shining moments with San Francisco, took him to the Super Bowl, deserved another opportunity, never got the opportunity, but that wasn't the opportunity with the Indianapolis Colts. That wasn't the opportunity. Even Cam Newton, that's probably not the opportunity. There's somebody who's playing right now. There's 32 teams. Each team at least has one guy. Each team at least has one guy on the practice squad that they could have looked at. They had other guys in camp, other quarterbacks in camp they could have called up. I mean, there's a lot of people they could have called before they picked up the phone and called Phillip Rivers, who has some familiarity with the system. Colin Kaepernick had none. The media circus surrounding Colin Kaepernick, that was never going to happen and should not have happened. It should not have happened.
Well, Colin Kaepernick got what he deserved. You're hearing a comment from Shannon Sharp, who got run out of the media business because he couldn't keep his mouth shut, and obviously had other accusations that ran him out the door. I won't turn this into a topic because it isn't one, but Shannon Sharp, I guess you're better off with podcast because like anybody else, I think I would, if I were a bet man, Mark Sanchez gets back into broadcasting before Shannon Sharp does. Okay, you can take that on, and then we'll continue.
Shannon Sharp's a Hall of Famer. He'll get back in there. He's a Hall of Famer.
You think so? All right.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, we'll see. Okay, go ahead, Marvin.
Yeah, so with Colin Kaepernick, two things are true. One, he absolutely got a raw deal initially. People don't realize that the whole kneeling thing, he was trying to show respect. He was trying to protest in a way and show respect. And he kind of went through the process of talking to former players who also had served, to figure out how he can do that, how he could protest and be respectful. So in spite of public opinion, his actions initially had the right intention. It just was perceived horrible. The other thing that's true is, like Mel said, this dude wasn't serious. I don't think he was serious about a comeback. I don't think that was what it was about, because I think the NFL teams gave him an opportunity to go out there and show his skill and do his thing. But he, it seems like he turned that into a little bit of a circus. So yeah, I think calling Kaepernick to play, nah, he's out of it. I mean, at this point, when I hear his name, it's I don't want to say it's a joke, but it's just like I don't really take that serious. And listen, it would have made more sense for the Colts to call Mark Sanchez. It would have made more sense for the Colts to call Cam Newton. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they didn't. They called Phillip Rivers, and he looked okay, I guess. And they almost got a win, but in the NFL, almost doesn't count. There's no moral victories here. Colin wasn't the answer, to be honest with you. And I don't have any issue with them skipping over him at this point. I mean, who wants that drama, that media? Even if his initial action, what he was fighting for in Black Lives Matter and police brutality, even if that was something that was a real thing that was a concern for many of us in our community, the reality is the way it's been played in the media, the way he's been portrayed in media, the way he handled his opportunity to have a workout. I mean, it's been a one big dumpster fire. We really don't want to hear his name again as it pertains to a potential workout or a potential spot as a quarterback on a roster. Them days, they might as well call me and Mel. You know what I'm saying? Like, them days is done.
Oh, I agree. I mean, the bottom line is, you know what? I wouldn't put him on there, but it's something I had heard about, and I knew everybody would say the thing. He's more trouble than he's worth, and nobody needs a drama. But let's go back to something that is important. We alluded to it with the Lions. Now we're going to take it a little step further. This will be a rapid-fire question. I mean, really rapid-fire. The NFL point leaders entering Week 16. Detroit has 428. The Rams have 420. Buffalo 411. Dallas 407. Seattle 405. Quick question, Candy. Of these teams, which one has the best chance of winning the Super Bowl?
Oh my goodness. Rams.
Okay. Again, rapid fire. Mel.
Yeah, Rams.
What about you, Marvin?
100% the Los Angeles Rams.
Rams all the way. Unanimous. Unanimous. Okay. The Broncos, the Patriots, and the Jaguars have flipped the script this season at 31-8 last year. They're 18-33 combined. You talk about a big change. You've definitely got that. Candy, what are your thoughts about the fortunes of these franchises?
I see upside for all of them. They're all on the rise. The Broncos are playing really good, especially at home. It'll be a very interesting game this weekend because two of those teams play each other. The Broncos play the Jaguars at home at Mile High. So we'll see how good the Jaguars are in the Mile High City this weekend.
And you know what? On Tuesday's edition of Inside the Pigskin, we'll go over that Jaguars-Broncos game. That'll be one of the marquee games for sure. And, of course, the Lions and Steelers could be mentioned as well. That's an important contest. Mel, what are your thoughts about the way they flipped the script?
What were the teams again? I know you said the Broncos and the Jaguars. What were the other two teams?
Patriots. And the
Patriots?
The Patriots, yeah.
Well, two of those teams got new coaches. One of them got a new coach a couple of years ago, and so you got some adults in the room there. They had what they think they had the quarterback position solved in Jacksonville. They just needed to get somebody they just needed to get an adult in the room there in the head coaching position. So I think the most surprising team for me is probably Jacksonville. It doesn't surprise me what I think did you say? It doesn't surprise me what New England's doing because I think Mark Vrabel's a good coach. But I think the most surprising one is Jacksonville and what they're doing because it's been such a dumpster fire down there, as you guys probably know, living down there in that area. But it's good, and it's good to see meaningful football this time of the year with Jacksonville playing Denver. I mean, it's good to see quality football games this late in the year.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. We've covered games in Jacksonville time and time again. They start getting a consistent winner. That's just going to be unbelievable. Happy Hanukkah to you as well. Want a beast. We appreciate that. Marvin?
Yeah, the bottom line is all these teams have hit on their first-round quarterbacks. That's it. In this league, in order to have a chance to win, you better have a quarterback and you better have your leadership right at at the head coach position. And I think that Jacksonville has done that. You look at Trevor Lawrence's last game; it was historic. Guy had like 5 touchdowns, led the team in rushing, threw for 300 yards. I mean, he's playing great. Bo Nix, they definitely hit on that. And then we already mentioned Drake. Drake out here balling, looking great, making Mike Vrabel look great. So yeah, hit on your quarterback, you got a shot, man. That's the bottom line. The entire organization's narrative can change if you have a quarterback, and these teams have it, and now they're all competing for playoffs.
Well, I blame Urban Meyer for what happened to Trevor Lawrence initially. Doug Peterson did the best he could to show him the position, but Liam Cohen's taking it to another level. More power to the Jaguars. And Marvin and I and Candy do other projects with the Jaguars as well. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Mel, we've talked about this before. We'll talk about it again, but this time not retained department. Jerry Neuheisel will not be retained by UCLA's new regime by Bob Chesney as head coach. What are your thoughts, Mel, about Jerry Neuheisel not going back?
I would like Jerry to stay there, but you bring in somebody new from the outside of the program. I think it's probably good for Jerry to give him an opportunity to see what he can do outside of UCLA. Maybe he can come back at some point in time after he's gone out and done some things elsewhere. I don't know. I think the offensive philosophy that the guy from JMU is coming in there with, it might be a little bit different than what they were doing there at UCLA. Hey, it was a great story, that win over Penn State. That was a great story. They got their 15 minutes of fame, but this is the real world. It's based on results. At the end of the day, he didn't do enough to get the job done. Doesn't mean that he can't be a head coach. Doesn't mean he can't be an offensive coordinator somewhere. But it's just going to have to continue to grind. And I know he'll be successful. I know what he's made out of. I know where he comes from. He comes from good stock. It doesn't mean no. It just means not right now. So he'll have his opportunity. He's still a young kid, so he'll get his opportunity.
Marvin?
I hate that. I think that Jerry represents something very positive for that university. As a former player, he's the son of a former great player. Obviously he was the coach this year and helped engineer arguably the biggest, at that time, what was one of the biggest wins in their program history, probably in a decade, beating Penn State. You need guys like that on the staff. You want legacy guys who really are committed, invested to a different level, guys who understand the history of the program, guys who are just pro UCLA, regardless of who the head coach is and what their role is. You want that type of feel in the locker room, on the staff, dealing with the fans and the alumni. So I hate to see that. I hate to hear that. I thought that he is somebody, to me, if I'm an incoming UCLA head coach, I see Jerry as extremely valuable. I don't know what the reasoning was. I'm sure he wanted to be there, but you got to keep those kind of guys on staff, man. You do. And I
don't think it was a rebuild. I mean, you can't come in there and just tear it down to the studs. You got to put some dynamite in there. You got to blow the whole thing up. So you just got to get rid of everybody. You don't know who you can trust. You don't know. You got to get rid of everybody. Get them all out of there and start anew. Just just tear it down to the studs. Got to blow it up. Got to demolish it.
I mean, that's your school,
construction.
Right, it's his school. He's saying blow it up to the studs. That's why he brings the guy in from James Madison to blow it up to the studs.
It's not a makeover. We don't need a makeover. We need new construction. We got to blow this thing up.
Yeah.
They don't even know where they're going to be. We don't even know exactly where we're going to play next year. We'll get into that another day. But the reality is, I was a little caught off guard initially that he was going to be there, because if there's a guy who's UCLA through and through between is Jerry Neuheisel, let alone Rick Neuheisel.
I think one tear came on my eye, then just kept it moving.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll be curious to see how this thing plays out for sure. But Rick Neuheisel, Jerry Neuheisel was a good story for a while, but I'll be curious to see where Jerry Neuheisel is going to land next. He's a good offensive mind for sure. Candy,
to both their points, in this new NIL era, you're trying to recruit people, and who better to recruit to your school is someone that you've been at that school.
Right.
On the flip side, though, I get it because you need the results, and we're a win now society with NIL, and you can change your whole roster every year with NIL, and that's part of it. You're re-recruiting your guys if you want to retain them, or you're recruiting others. So, is this the way to go?
I mean, he may have had an opportunity to stay there. I don't know. I mean, what are you going to demote him to? You know, tight end coach, wide receiver coach. I mean, he wasn't going to be the OC. Right. It's going to be a demotion. Quarterback coach. He probably has his own quarterback coach that he's going to bring along with him. That's been with him for a long time. So, you know, where are you going to put him?
A guy like that you could put in scouting. A guy like that you can have him working with the AD. A guy like that you could put a lot of different places outside the coaching sideline.
Yeah.
I mean, listen.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm trying to help y'all become. You know, I don't know why. I'm trying to help y'all do something different. You know, you talking about.
We're trying to help you, Mel, but Mel don't want you out.
We are doing something different.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
Well, you know what's going to end up happening?
Blow it up.
Well, Chesley's going to bring most of his James Madison people there anyways. Isn't that usually what happens?
We're going to rebuild it.
He's trying to pull a Kurt Signetti, but I don't know if he's Kurt Signetti. You know, I don't think UCLA about to be Indiana. But I guess we about to see.
I mean, what is USC doing since they got Lincoln Riley? I mean, they thought he was
right now. USC is about to be on their 10th win. We have the #1 recruiting class. We went undefeated at home and we beat y'all. Right now, the program's we're in a great direction, doing very, very good things.
We're going to see how
we're proud. We are
they're going to be calling you and see how much you can contribute to the buyout soon.
I've contributed, but not to the buyout. You know, to the more to NIL. But anyway, I'm in it, man. I'm in it all the way. You know what I'm saying? Small contribution. Let me not blow that up. Small, but still, it counts. You know, I work hard for it.
It don't matter.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you guys are definitely theater for sure. I'm telling you, that's why I love doing this show on Saturday for sure. Well, I'll tell you what, just a little teaser. We will be talking about Billy Napier on Tuesday night on the Inside the Picks in our version on Tuesday night. So I wanted to set this topic up with a little bit of action here. It's unbelievable. I like burnt toast, man. Top left, show yourself. Of course, I'm showing myself, pal. I don't know I got 20/20 vision, but I like this guy. He knows all the cameras, and he's burnt toast, people. Oh my God, I love that
got
name.
Some admirers over here on the.
I know this guy. Thanks, burnt toast. At least he's back in the house telling me how to show myself. Of course, I'm going to do that. All right, good stuff.
Calling you a fine Marcus Freeman.
There you go. I appreciate that. I like these backhanded compliments.
That's more of a Westwood, West LA, type of thing. I'm just saying we in South Central.
You aren't even from South Central.
I'm from the Valley. Get it right. Valley boy, 818.
That's what I'm saying. You already right. There you go.
Stand up.
There you go. What is that? Right, Valencia, all that stuff out there.
Yeah. But as I said, we're on Tuesday night's edition of the Inside the Picks, and we're going to talk about Billy Napier. But I want to know what everybody's appetite by putting Jerry Neuheisel here on the Saturday edition, knowing I had the UCLA USC theme. We started with Mark Sanchez, and now we go to Jerry Neuheisel. Now let's talk about what's going to happen today with the Miami Hurricanes. Obviously, the Miami Hurricanes were selected in the college football playoff, and they're facing the Texas A&M Aggies. Their common opponent happened to be Notre Dame. The Canes defeated Notre Dame 27-24 in their opener, while the Aggies won against Notre Dame 41-40 against the Irish. What gives? Well, I'll tell you what. Obviously, Ruben Bain is a big part of what's going to happen today, and the reason why is this. And I really find it hard to believe that Texas A&M offensive lineman Trey Zune was asked what are the top key ways to stopping Ruben Bain, who was a top pick, obviously projected in the draft, and he said, "Oh, he won't be a threat. We'll be able to handle him." But I'll tell you one thing, Marvin, is this bulletin board material? I mean, because the game today starts at obviously noon Eastern time, but is this bulletin? How do you think Ruben Bain's going to come out, and is Trey Zahn going to be a marked man?
Yeah, it's definitely something. Listen, at this stage of Ruben's career in college, he's heard it all, and people talk. He lives in a digital age. People have a lot to say, but yeah, you absolutely are going to use this as motivation. You're going to add to the already existing motivation. The dude just called you out. You're supposed to be a top 5 pick, and they're talking about you like you nothing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I would expect Bane to come out there off the edge. Make some plays and let people know that he's here and he's that guy. This, for A&M, this is what you got to say. This is kind of what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? I get the guy from A&M's position, I do, but you're calling out a big dog. You're calling out somebody who's really real. There's no hype with Bane. You know what I'm saying? There's not hype. There's nothing but production at a high level consistently. There's a reason why he's listed as a top draft pick, and he has been throughout the year. So. Yeah, Bane's going to use some motivation. I think the Canes may have a tough time, but Bane's going to absolutely use this as motivation to get after that quarterback.
Hey, Mel, I'm going to need some predictions on the next topic. We only have one more topic to go. We'll go rapid fire. I know you have to get going in a few minutes, but we're just about done anyway. But give me your thoughts about Bane and the bulletin board material that Trey Zun went out there and put out there.
Well, these are confident kids. A&M has been playing well all year long. They're confident kids. I mean, he's saying what he believes. I mean, I don't know exactly what position that kid plays. I don't know if he's if he's on the offensive line, the one that was making all that made the headlines. But these are confident young men. He's confident in his ability. We know what the type of player that Ruben Bane is. They're all going to be jacked up anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, there's not much more that can be said. They're chomping at the bit to get out there and play. They haven't played in about 3 weeks now. And so all these players are really excited to play. They kind of get baited into these things. Unfortunately, the media will ask them questions and they kind of get baited into this type of stuff. But as a young kid, you're saying how you feel. And this is how the kid feels. And they'll have an opportunity to prove themselves, and they'll have an opportunity to back it up when they face it up, when they tee it up rather at 12 noon.
All right, Candy, rapid fire on this. One last topic, and we're done. Mel, if you can hang with us another 5 minutes or so, that would be much appreciated, because I got a lot of meat on this bone. Go ahead, Candy.
Ruben Bane is the real deal. That's why he immediately started playing for Miami in 2023 in his freshman year. I saw him on the field these last couple of years. He is coming to play.
Okay. With that said, let's talk about the college football playoff. Alabama ended up beating Oklahoma 34-24. Alabama has never beaten Oklahoma in a regular season game. We're going to go over the tail of the tape on this game here, because it's definitely something that's worth talking about. And that's this. I'm going to go over it right now, then everybody can talk about it. Miami was founded in 1925, Texas A&M 1876. The student population is 19,000 for Miami, 81,000 for Texas A&M. The acceptance percentage is 17%, meaning that Miami is a tough school to get into, and Texas A&M is 57%. Research spend is $510 million for the game, $1.28 billion for Texas A&M. College football titles: 5 for Miami, 3 for Texas A&M. Heisman's are 2-2 for both schools. NFL first-round picks: the Canes 68-37 over Texas A&M. NFL draft picks: 367 for Miami, 309 for Texas A&M. College football playoff appearances: 1-1. Most recent title 2001 for Miami, and 1939 you have to go back for Texas A&M. And the wins in the series are 3-2. And obviously this year's record, Miami goes into a 10-2 and Texas A&M 11-1. Candy, give us that number that you have in terms of all-time wins, and we're going to get to it real quickly, and we're going to wrap it up because obviously I have another show coming on shortly afterwards. Go ahead, Candy.
So Miami's all-time record is 683, 393, and 19 ties for a percentage of .632. Texas A&M is all-time record 797, 510, and 48 with a percentage winning of .606.
Okay, other facts I want to go into before we go to predictions. Alabama hasn't lost to the same opponent twice in the same season. The last time it happened was 1893, people, versus the Birmingham Athletic Club. 1893. I didn't think my great-grandparents were born back then. The longest traveled distance here in the first round, Tulane is only 356 miles to Oxford. Alabama is 705 miles to Norman. Miami, 1,265 miles to College Station. And James Madison, 2,801 miles to Eugene, Oregon. And Oklahoma is 0-5 in the college football playoff after last night. Front Office Sports says the college football quarterfinals playoff tickets for the family sold. Miami and Texas A&M is 1076. Alabama OU went 770. Tulane Ole Miss 732. And James Madison, Oregon, a mere $300 for a family of 4. All right, as we wrap this thing up here, we'll go here. Prediction, people. All right, Mel, you've got obviously Miami and Texas A&M. Who do you got?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good game. It's a tough one, but I'm gonna probably go with Texas A&M.
Okay, next one. I'll let you go after your predictions because I know you have to roll. Thanks for being a trooper here. Okay, give me Tulane and Ole Miss. Tulane is 11-2. Ole Miss is 1, but they have a new coach.
Ole Miss.
Okay, you like Ole Miss anyways. Okay, and last but not least, James Madison 12-1 against Oregon.
Yeah, it's going to be Oregon. But I mean, I'm sure that James Madison is going to put up a good fight. But I mean, they're overmatched. I mean, overmatched as far as players, the rosters and the money.
Okay, all right, Mel. I know you have to roll through. Let everybody know that get a hold of you and talk about your nonprofit.
All right, I'll see everybody on Tuesday. You can get a hold of me right there at Mel Farr Jr. See it right there in the lower whatever hand side of the screen there, right-hand side of the screen, and follow what we have going on for the youth at Mel Farr, superstarfoundation.org. Good seeing everybody. Got to run. Happy holidays to everyone.
Happy holidays. We'll see you Tuesday night. Great job, Mel, and we'll have more action, and of course, next Saturday as well. God bless, Mel. Thanks for being a trooper, hanging on a few extra seconds. Okay, minutes. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Beat USC.
Okay? There you go. All right, we'll wrap it up with Marvin. Okay, Marvin, let's go over the predictions. And you know where we're at. Miami against Texas A&M.
Yeah, I think it's a tough game on the road at A&M. A&M's favored by 3. I like you. I think they have athletes. I like your coach a lot. I think Cristobal is the real deal. I think he's a culture builder. I think he's a tough guy. He's a former Cane. All that stuff matters, man. He's a smart guy. He's been under great leadership and Saban and some other guys. So I believe that he's really building a program in UM. I believe that. But this, like Elko, this guy's the real. He's the real deal as a coach. I believe him. I saw him at Duke. Saw what he did at A&M. I like their players. I'd have to give the edge to A&M.
Okay, Candy.
Yeah.
My heart wants to go with Miami. The problem is I know they're playing in College Station, and anytime you're playing on the road and you're technically the underdog because Miami's going in ranked 10th, Texas A&M is ranked 7th. All that being said, I'm going to go with my heart. I'm going to pick Miami. Let's do the upset. Let's do the upset.
Okay. All right, Candy, we'll go with the other two. You have Tulane and Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. I think even though they don't have their coach, I think they're still going to take this.
And then you have James Madison against Oregon.
Oregon. I mean, some people would say that James Madison shouldn't have even been in there. So I think it's going to be tough for them. Oregon's played really tough this year. I see Oregon taking it.
Okay, I'll give you mine. I'm going with Miami. I'll tell you why. They paid Carson Beck a lot of money to win these games. Time for him to start earning his cash. That's what I think, okay? Carson Beck, to me, if he has a great game, A&M's in trouble, and Miami has won at Texas A&M before. It has been done before. Well, no, I don't think it was actually. Actually, I think, was it? Did they win there before, or did they beat them here in I don't know. But whatever the case is, Candy will bail me out of that one. They pay him good money to win these games. It's time for Carson to earn his cash. Candy, do you have that information about Miami's last one?
I'm looking.
She's looking.
That 12th man is real, Scott. That 12th man thing, y'all gonna feel that. You know what I mean? They take that serious.
I wish I could get to the game. I wish I could. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go ahead and get to it. But it's one of the things on my bucket list to get out there. Oh, I believe it. Hey, you played in these stadiums. I haven't. All I do is cover games at these things.
I've never been to College Station. One of my ex-teammates, Sir Parker, big A&M alum, he played for them. I know he'll be watching this game. A&M's tough, man. Them boys is tough. Elko got them boys coached up and playing some ball. So I'm looking forward to it. Was it 12 o'clock game, 12:30 game?
Yeah,
Yes.
12 noon Eastern time. So
Yeah,
I guess
I'll
if
be
you're
ready.
in Nashville, probably at 11. Yeah. I mean, Mike Elko's a heck of a coach. If you can win at Duke, you're definitely, and it tell you, he's done a good job at Texas A&M, especially going behind Jimbo Fisher. I mean, that wasn't easy either.
Right.
And now they finally got the right guy in there. And I won't get into the history of Texas A&M coaches. Yeah, so the other two games, Ole Miss is, I definitely believe they will. But keep in mind, Lane Kiffin sent all the offensive coaches back there for this game. So they'll have essentially the offensive staff. Only Lane Kiffin won't be there. I'll give Ole Miss a nod there in Oregon. Well, get ready for another Oregon-Indiana rematch down in Miami. Candy, did you get that information?
So Miami leads the all-time series between these two programs 3-2, with the Hurricanes winning the last matchup against the Aggies 48-33 at Hard Rock Stadium. But
Okay.
Texas A&M won the last matchup in College Station. So the home team won the last
Okay,
two
well, there you go. That doesn't change my mind right now because Miami, obviously, but I'm glad you were able to set the record straight while we're live anyways. Great stuff,
Yep.
Candy. With that said, great show. Marvin, we got a date on Monday night for the Sports Exchange. Got some great topics lined up for you. Also, other things I'm working on with Marvin as he's working with me on some other endeavors with me over at Roundtable Sport. Candy's also involved. So we have a lot of projects there. And Marvin and Motormouth will be debuting on December 31st. We'll have our own show. And Marvin will be with me on a lot of other stuff as well. Wherever I go, Marvin goes. I'm glad he's as loyal as anybody can be because my goal is to make sure this guy gets whatever he wants because I'm proud of him. The sky's the limit with Marvin Powell III. Mark my word. So with that said, Marvin Powell III, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
You can reach me on social media, Marvin Powell III, Marvin on the mic. As Scott said, I'm with the South Florida Tribune a lot. Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, Wednesday night, Saturday morning, with more to come. And you can catch me locked on USC twice a week, typically Mondays and Thursdays.
Okay, great stuff, Marvin. Where I'm going, you go. I love having you around me, man. You're if there's ever a guy I can teach, you're one of the biggest students I've ever had. But I'm going to tell you, if there's ever a coachable person, it's you. And I'm proud that you're on my team. Candy, wrap it up with a station break. Also coming up later on at about an hour from now, Talking Baseball will be on. We're looking forward to a good Hall of Fame type of show. Go ahead, Candy.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, talks about his 40-plus years in the business and how it has evolved, old school media versus new school media. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, especially if you like football, college football, NFL. We have content up there. Go check it out. The website is www.southfloridatribune.com. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to advertise or you want to be on one of our shows, email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. We'd love to have you. We love to have people in the chat room, but we love to have people on screen as well with us. If you see that red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel. What are you waiting for? Just click it, like us, share us with all your friends and family or anybody you think would enjoy our content. We talk baseball. We talk football. We talk on Wednesday on Sports Exchange, which is moving just this week because of the holidays to Monday night. You never know what Scott's got up his bag of tricks. We've talked about anything and everything, so make sure you tune in and find out what we're talking about on Monday night especially. But we have other great content up on our YouTube channel, but then turn on your notifications so you're notified when we go live like we did this morning, and we're going to go live with baseball a little bit later. You don't want to miss these episodes. Back to you, Scott.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, we appreciate everybody for tuning in today. here on this Saturday. Enjoy your college football. There's going to be 3 great games on tap. Again, those games are going to start at noon for the Canes against Texas A&M. 3:30 you have Tulane Ole Miss, and then it wraps up at 7:30 p.m. with James Madison and Oregon. With that said, that does it for this edition of Inside the Pigskin. On behalf of Mel Farr Jr., Candy Ebling, Marvin Powell III, my name is Scott Morgan, Ralph the Motor City Manmouth. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you Tuesday night on Inside the Pigskin. Marvin and I and Candy will see you Monday night on the Sports Exchange. Have a great weekend, everybody, and enjoy the football. God bless, and thanks for being a part of the show. Bye now.